So, actually writing programs on TIA Portal v13. So, now that we've got some tags created, it is time to actually start writing our program. And that is done in the Programs block subsection. So in the project tree on the left-hand side of your screen, that would be over here. Let me go ahead and just throw a box around that for you. We have our current PLC we're working with, which is right there. And then we're going to go ahead and expand program blocks right here at the top. And then that will show us our program. So we're going to be editing the main, or OB1. So we can go ahead, double click on that, and that will open us up into our program. Now you do need to excuse my screen. I'm zoomed in a bit for you, so I don't have a lot of real estate going on. Now, first thing I'd like to point out is up here at the top, we have favorites. All right. Now, these are the default ones that come with, or that Siemens assumes that you are going to use a lot. So that's what you see there. We can add more to this, which I will talk about more in a second. But first, on the laptops in the class, if they have deep freeze on them, which most of them do, changing your favorites is only going to change them for that specific class. So once you turn the computer off, it's going to always come back to this. On your home computer, or once you are in the real world and you're on your work computer, hopefully it doesn't have deep freeze, and you're able to modify those and keep them from time to time. So now, to add more or to see where these actually came from, we're going to go ahead and expand the left-hand side here with that little triangle at the top that I halfway covered. All right, so right there, we can go ahead and click that, and you can see we have an instructions tab. So we are under basic instructions. We're not dealing with the extended instructions. And we are under bit logic operations for most of these. So you can see the ones that we're using right now. We have our make, we have our break, and those are our main input ones that we're going to use. And then if we scroll down, there it is, there's the coil. It's right below my eyes, just a little blind right now. We have our coil that we also is our main one that we're using. Man, haven't got too big. All right. Our coil. All right, so those we can see right there. We do also have a mystery box up here, which we'll come back to another day. But the other things that you will be using are the branch commands, which right here, let me circle those up for you. All right, and those are going to allow you to put things in parallel. All right, those are going to probably be under the, there we go, the general option. So we also do have a new rung option here. So normally, as you create a network, or you use a network, it automatically creates another one. So anyway, so now that we have all of our things that we're going to be using, we can write some simple code. So we're just going to do a make. Now you can see network 2 appear. And we can just go ahead and start typing S, and it will automatically search your tag table for you going, is this what you want? And you can see here we have our start button. So that's what I'm going to throw in there. And then I'm going to throw a coil in, and coils do go on the output side. Let's zoom this out just a little bit for you. So outputs always go on the right, inputs always go on the left. And then this will make the system active light yellow. Now, if you didn't have a tag already created for something, but you know what terminal it's plugged into, you can go ahead and just type that in. So I could say I1.7. And bam, it'll just call it tag 1. And then at that point, you could actually then rename it, and you could call this the eStop. So you don't have to have your tags created ahead of time, but I find it is a bit easier if to do it in that order. So once you have your tags done, first thing you always should do at the top is you should compile your code. So we should click that little button. It looks like 2 pieces of paper type of thing going on, and it will say we're compiling. And you normally, there we go, get information about what happened. And that is under the info and compile section. If for some odd reason you do something wrong, like you don't have a tag there, see how the question marks are red, and I hit compile, it's going to yell at me and saying operand required that this is missing. And if you scroll over, normally you don't have to scroll over because you have more screen real estate than me, and you click the little green arrow, it will take you to that exact section of code, that exact item that is the problem. Not always, but most of the time. So nice and simple there. Now we're going to go ahead and make a simple latching circuit. So that means this should be our stop button, which is normally closed, which means we need to leave that as a make contact. Then we're going to go ahead and put a little branch action in. throw another one in parallel, like that. We can close our branch, and we can make this the system light yellow. There we go. And that would be a traditional latching circuit. Now, notice how this comes right off the left-hand side there. So it's right there attached to the line. You might go, that's looking a little bit funny, which I overall do tend to agree with. So for our purposes here, let's just go ahead and put the start button after the stop button. Bring our branch down, slap that back in, and bring our branch back up. That might be more what you were expecting to see, how it comes off the line like that. Anytime you do a branch, open the branch right next to the beginning, it's always just going to put it there. All right. So it's just something that you do need to get used to. You can always drag these, and you see how there's a little green dot appearing. That's just telling you this is where you can put the current item that you are dealing with. So the gray dots say there's an option there, and once it's green, you can go, yes, you can do that. All right. Some of my students have this tendency, and if you click somewhere and you click an item, it will show up in that exact spot. Some of my students have a tendency to just have a whole bunch of branch circuits in their code, which really is not the best habit here, because when you do have problems, it just tells you. So if we go ahead and quick compile this, you notice it says operand is missing, yada, 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 and it says network 1. So if you have 30 branches here that don't ever end, they don't ever come back, and you just have a closed bracket there, or an output there, and it's saying, well, network 1, and you have 30 branches in network 1, it's much harder to troubleshoot your code when you're going, well, what specifically is that telling me? Especially in the situations where it doesn't take you right to the error. So I highly suggest that you, I'm going to call it do it properly, and use multiple networks. Yes, it does take up more screen real estate, but it is overall going to make your life easier when you are troubleshooting your code. So as kind of a quick intro to the different bit options up here for latching, or for makes, breaks, and your traditional coils, as well as branches.